Lifestyle, the podcast. I am the host, the Honey Badger, here to give it to you straight and transparent about the RV business, as well as other things, and I'm wearing pajamas. Well, I'm in a little bit different spot today. I had to get down to one of the dealerships early, waiting for a guy to fill propane, same old stuff. So I have to call my boy that I was supposed to have the interview today with here on the podcast. He was my special guest. I'll have to go down there tomorrow and do it. So, spoiler alert, it's going to be a California RV specialist is where I'm going tomorrow morning to basically have a half-hour conversation with a nice gentleman there on the podcast. So how about Michael Irving being a spokesperson and, we'll call it just a spokesperson, probably a partner or some kind of sponsor for Funtown RV. This is starting to become very interesting. The marketing strategies. I talked about Hulk Hogan the other day for Blue Compass and Jayco. Now you got Michael Irving for the last couple months. Probably prior to that, doing commercials for Funtown RV. You got Mark Wahlberg that owns an Airstream dealership. Very interesting. Very interesting, because reality is that I think that's where dealerships are going. Remember what I said about 6 months ago. Everybody got upset with me in some ways. I was talking about the Mr. Beast controversy and how all that can affect the YouTube community across the board, not just in the RV industry, but across the board. Yesterday, I found out this is starting to become a trend across the RV industry spectrum, is to start bringing in professional athletes, celebrities, retired athletes into advertising, commercials, show gimmicks, things of that nature. So we're going back to what they were doing, let's say, 10 years ago. Does it have anything to do with the economy? No. It has to do with the fact that YouTube, good morning, Mike, YouTube personalities are seeing a decline in viewership. Not everybody, but a lot of them are seeing a decline in viewership. And on top of that, all the things surrounding Mr. Sorry about that. Good morning. Good morning. Hi. So it's very interesting because the Mr. Beast effect, if you don't know who Mr. Beast is, he's the largest YouTuber in the world. All the controversy, the lawsuits, everything going around this guy right now is going to have a trickle-down effect on the rest of the YouTube community as far as sponsorships, as far as how RV dealerships, car dealerships, boat dealerships, Walmart, etc. start promoting who they use to promote their product, who they use to push their product. The reason why, and now I'm understanding, because I've talked about this, about all the clickbait, all the misinformation that people keep posting out there about motorhome sales bans and there's no such thing as frame failure / frame flex with Grand Design and all this stuff. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you have all the people that are telling everybody that everything's a pile of crap, everything's a piece of crap. Now it all makes sense. The sponsorships are starting to dry up. And not drying up because of anything that YouTubers did wrong, as far as guys like me, guys like some of the corporate guys, some of the independents, nothing to do with what we've done, but what someone in another niche, another galaxy of YouTube has gotten himself into. No, I'm not selling motor oil. So that's a problem that is going to rear its head, not just in the RV community, not just in the RV industry, but across all industries. I think we're going to get back to the days where we start seeing Hollywood celebrities and more retired professional athletes start doing more car commercials, more RV commercials, more boat commercials, more alcohol commercials, more everything commercials. I think it's going to get more and more and more where all the money that was going to the influencer community for sponsorships is now going to go and transfer and move over into this other segment because of what's going on around Mr. Beast. So now it makes sense why all the clickbait has been occurring, because the ad revenue has become a main source of income for a lot of these YouTubers. Now, obviously, there's some guys that get paid by the factories in our industry and paid by their dealerships and etc. So I'm not talking about those guys. Set those guys aside. I'm talking about those brand ambassador folks. I'm talking about the independents that decided they were going to start a YouTube channel and sit down on a park bench and talk about things they know nothing about because they read something on rvbusiness.com. Those are the people I'm referring to. You know, the folks that when something controversial comes, they make a big deal out of it to get millions of views, but on their regular everyday life, they get 15, 20,000 views. So those are folks that are going to get the most affected by this change in where we're seeing things. And seeing Michael Irving yesterday on a commercial for Funtown RV that was released in December of this last year, not that long ago, shows a lot of grit and things of that nature. Hey, thank you so much, George. Appreciate you. Well, here's the thing, and the other thing we have to realize too, it's not just the RV community or RV industry that's going to get affected. This is every industry, you know. Now, it's not going to affect people like Flo from Progressive, okay? They built her up, but she also doesn't have like a million things on TikTok or Instagram and doesn't say controversial crap or doesn't have a game, you know, or a game show on a major streaming platform. You know, these are problems that, you know, come up and things of that nature. And realistically, it was a shot in the dark for Amazon to do this whole show, this whole game show with Mr. Beast, you know. So very interesting that I always wonder why, like, my sponsorships are never cash sponsorships. It's just people that send me products all the time. You know, they always send me products to try out and test and video, and some of them I do, some of them I don't. I'm like, yeah, take the risk, send me the product. I may not film it, I may film it, who knows? Some of it's really cool, some of it's like, really? You're sending an RV guy that stuff? You're out your darn mind. But that's just kind of the way the game is played. If you're wondering why I'm walking around right now, it's because I'm waiting for a propane guy. Normally I'll just sit in the car, but it is what it is. Okay. I'm going to wait for the guy before he comes in. Now, the other thing that I really want to talk about today, which is probably a little more important than all Michael Irving being a key figure in the RV industry and the whole marketing thing, is we're running into an interesting time with trucks. Okay, people in general are getting mad. And Mike, I think, what was his name? Mike, oh crap, I can't remember his last name, but he's a big time YouTuber in the car industry. And he was talking about how Ford, Chevy, Toyota, all these guys that bought trucks in 2020 and 2021 and 2022 are a minimum 45% buried in their truck. And you should see the nasty comments this guy gets. Oh my God, this guy gets absolutely trashed. Because you have to understand, we went through the RV price crash. Well, you would call it a crash. It started in August of 2022, and it flatlined around September, October of last year. So we went through a 26-month period of volatility with pricing. So in August of 2022, pricing peaked. March of 2023, we had our first little bump in the road when it came to the NADA guide values. March of this last year, we had the biggest thunk in RV values as far as used. And then September, we had a little bang. And after that, it's just been, it's on the rebound. Now, that doesn't mean used prices and used values are going to go up. What it means is it's no longer going to like tank fast. It's going to do the same thing it's done for decades. It's going to level off, right? It's going to go to a slow, it's going to go, you bought it and thunk, and then no. Same thing it always does, right? But this guy got absolutely hammered. Hammered for basically telling the truth, okay? And the truth is that the truck industry has not become unvolatile yet. The RV industry, if you're a dealership that's doing the right things, you're busy right now. You're making deals. You're making sales. The dealership I'm working with, they're doing really well for beginning of the year. Like, you don't normally see, even in a good economy, you don't normally see this many people walking in the door. Now, there's a lot of dealerships in Northern California that are not as fortunate as these guys are. These guys have been very busy. Some might tell them, oh, it's probably because you got the honey badger, doing his video thing. I think that's a part of it, but I think the other part is they're doing everything right when it comes to pricing. They're doing everything right by the consumer, and they're making the actual purchase uncomplicated. Rather than going through this swaying back and forth thing, they're being more, okay, this is where we're at. It's not much negotiation. There isn't need for much negotiation because they're already priced really fair and really below what a lot of other people are priced at. So it makes it easy to just have a conversation. And I think people are really enjoying that conversation because they don't hound them. It's not, this is one thing I noticed about this place. I'm the hound. I'm the bloodhound that's on the phone constantly and texting and, constantly working. These guys, they have a conversation. A couple days later, they might send a text. A couple days later, they might send another text. They kind of lay back like, hey, we're not chasing business. Business will come to us because we're better priced, take care of the people better, etc. And they're right, because people that I saw, because I got here in mid-December, people I saw in the first week and a half in December are showing back up to the dealership and purchasing. So lots of activity, because I think a lot of people are finally getting the hint that nothing's going to change for the next 2 years, minimum. So you either put your life on hold for 2 more years when it comes to interest rates, or you just go out and enjoy your life. And I think a lot of people have decided to go and enjoy life. So that's something that obviously shows that the RV industry is on the rebound. It's not going to go shoot like a rocket, but it'll be that steady rebound. Okay. Is it going to happen for every dealership? No. I think we'll still have dealer closures. I still think that there will be, I think Lazy Days will fully go out of business. I still believe that one more big corporate RV dealership YouTuber will, or corporate RV dealership, I should say, will go out of business. I still believe that we're going to lose at least 3 to 4 brands before it's all over. So, but that has nothing to do with the consumer buying inventory that's already in stock. That has to do with manufacturing. And if you go back to some of the episodes and some of the videos I've done, especially in the past, I've talked about this, where manufacturing and how many RVs they produce is not a direct correlation to what the market is. I believe, and I've said this earlier this year, that manufacturing for RVs is going to tank. I think it's going to go down. I think it'll be under 300,000 units this year in total. But I believe retail sales of new RVs will be up pretty dramatically. I think it'll be an 18 to 20% increase this year in new RV sales. Now, how that is because there's a more balanced inventory and there will be new inventory coming in behind. So we have the industry has enough carryover inventory from 2024 to basically make 2025 a better year retail sales wise. Okay. Sometimes I agree partially with that, but I don't control that. The sales tax, I don't control that. And sales tax is not stopping people from buying. If sales tax is stopping you from buying, you're not a real RVer. I'll tell you that right now. And that's not to offend anybody. It's just like if you're worried about miles per gallon in a motorhome or miles per gallon you're getting with your truck towing, you're not a real RVer. Not yet, at least. When you stop asking that question and you stop worrying about sales tax, you just became an RVer. I've seen too many guys who do the whole Montana LLC, okay, to avoid sales tax. They go and buy something and then they're selling it in a year because they're too worried about money. If you're worried about money, you shouldn't buy an RV. Even if you're rich. If you're worried, if it gives you a heart attack at night, if you got $10 million in the bank and it gives you a heart attack to write a check for 10 grand to buy a travel trailer, a used travel trailer, you're not an RVer. Okay? It's not a financial investment. It is an investment into a lifestyle, and that lifestyle is to help you relax, help you build memories, help you enjoy yourself. If you're worried about the money part of it the entire time, yeah, it's not going to be fun. Yeah, but again, if sales tax stops you from buying an RV, then yeah, you're not a buyer. And that's okay. It's not for everybody. The RV industry is not for everybody. I'll give you guys a great example of this. This is great because this is something that there's a guy that sent me an email a few months ago. He bought a diesel pusher. He took 3 years to go get a driver's license and establish a residency in Oregon, so he didn't have to pay sales tax. Then he established a residency in Nye County, Nevada, to avoid smogging, to avoid smog laws. He went through all this stuff to basically try to avoid and cheat the government out of things. Went out on one trip in the motorhome and hated it. And now he's having a tough time unloading it because he made it so complicated that he doesn't even know where the title is. Because he tried it, there's just so many moving parts. Bought it in Texas, registered it, went to Oregon to register it, registered in Oregon, took the registration, forgot that he didn't get the title from Oregon yet, took it to Nevada, registered it in Nye County, Nevada to avoid any smog laws, having a smog it, anything of that nature. Also, then he did something about getting a P.O. box in South Dakota so that way he could have some kind of thing where his insurance was cheaper. And he complicated the whole thing where now he can't even sell the motorhome. 4 years of doing all this to take one trip. It's because when you work that much to cheat the government out of money because the principle of the thing, it's just insane. There's a cost to everything. Oh yeah, I know, Dean. I know that part. I do know that. I do know that Dallas Cowboys, but it's just Michael Irvin's been on the a lot more commercials for them than it has been. Yeah, but Steve, that's what people do. People who are anti everything. Oh, I hate Gavin Newsom. Oh, I hate the Nevada governor. Oh, I hate Colorado. Oh, I hate Idaho. Oh, I hate Washington State. Oh, I can't stand Texas. And so they try to like research every little state to see which one. Full-time RVers are the worst sometimes because full-time RVers, no offense to you guys, but you try to circumvent everything, and then when you want to upgrade, okay, and a lot of you are not millionaires. A lot of you guys are like me, or average Joe who makes money and gets a paycheck or gets a retirement check. You don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars in the bank to buy a new rig and upgrade if you're ready to upgrade. And you make it so complicated because you got great credit, but nobody can sell you an RV. Because you didn't want to take the advice of me and like 10 other people that tell you exactly what to do as a full-time RVer to ensure if you ever have to upgrade, you can and you can finance it. A lot of you go, I'm not doing that because that means I got to pay sales tax in that state. Or I got to pay higher registration. I'll just take my P.O. box in South Dakota and keep the rig I got, and then it falls apart on them because they don't have the money to fix it. It's just sometimes we overcomplicate a process, and that's something this dealership that I'm working with doesn't do. They don't overcomplicate things. They just make it simple. Yeah, we'll do that deal. Not, oh, you got to go in and do this and talk about that and circumvent this and circumvent that, and don't show them the prep package and don't show them this and don't show them that. These guys are pretty straight up and make the process uncomplicated. But people in general, dealers, community members, consumers, sometimes we make processes of doing things way more complicated than we really need to. Well, here's the thing. There are some of the loopholes have already been closed. Okay, here's an example, guys. Great example. Let's say we're going to use California as an example. And we're going to use truck campers in California as an example. If you buy a truck camper in California, it's not registered with the DMV. So what do people do? They drive up to Oregon, buy a truck camper. The truck camper salesman's not going to charge them sales tax because there's no sales tax in Oregon. They drive it back. Now, 10 years ago, you could do that. It was like buying a TV or a microwave up in Oregon. Like, nobody's ever going to report it. Nobody cares. Now, they take a copy of your driver's license. If your driver's license is in the state of California, you get reported to a central system called Invitas with the serial number of the camper. And California knows you bought a vehicle up in Oregon. Imagine the penalties that you're going to pay if you get. Now, if you keep the truck camper outside of California for 1 full year, you're fine. But there are other consequences to that. The other consequence is good luck finding somebody to service it. I ran a service department. When I found out that somebody bought a truck camper up in Oregon when I was in Southern California, I simply told you over the phone, if I were you, I'd start driving back to the dealership in Oregon and getting it fixed there because I'm not fixing it here. Even if I paid out of pocket, even if you paid out of pocket. And a lot of service centers are like that because dealerships in Southern California, Southern Nevada, Northern Arizona, Eastern Idaho, we cannot control our governments. We can only control what we sell the unit for as a selling price. So I had a guy 6 years ago, we're in 2025. 6 years ago, bought a truck camper from me at Barber RV. They're closed now, but Barber RV. And he got mad because he had to pay sales tax. I matched the price Oregon was selling it to him for. He drove up. Both slide outs died on him. It was a lemon law piece. California would have protected him under California lemon law. Oregon does not have a lemon law for slide-in truck campers. It does not. If it doesn't have tires that touch the road, there is no lemon law in Oregon. So he was stuck with the damn thing. Bought a lemon up in Oregon, can't do anything about it because he wanted to avoid sales tax. It was $3,000 in sales tax. See, that's the problem that a lot of people have. Everybody just goes and looks at price. Nobody looks at the other aspects of making any kind of purchase. This isn't Ford. This isn't Chevy. This isn't Toyota, where all the money is made in service. When you're in Florida and you go buy a boat in Texas, you're no longer protected under your local state's laws. You are now having to deal with Texas. If you drive from North Carolina to Indiana to go buy a side-by-side, you're no longer protected by North Carolina. You're now under Indiana law. So price is not everything. It costs more money, and we're going to use a boat as an example. A boat built in Ohio, shipped to Florida, costs more money than a dealer in Ohio because of how much transportation costs. So when you pay more money in Florida by $1,000, $2,500, $1,500, whatever it is, compared to states close to these factories, the difference you're paying is in shipping. So if you guys wonder why there's so much game playing at any dealership, whether it's a boat, a power sports, an RV, it's because all you pay attention to is price. I'll give you a great example. Here's a good one. I wrote this down. Wrote this down last night. Okay, so I'm going to use a product I don't sell. Forest River Salem 26 BHXL. In Indiana, close to the factory, they have it listed for $24,995. A dealership that says they don't sell junk fees or don't have junk fees in Colorado has it for $26,995. A dealer in Utah has it for $24,995, but if you read the fine print, it says price does not include freight charges. So you go to Utah, because Utah people are like, oh, I'll just drive to Indiana, save the $2,000. So they come in, yeah, we're going to do it, but we're going to charge you how much it costs us to ship it down here. And then there's the game playing, and everybody getting mad and getting pissed. So when you go down to shop on the internet, stop shopping thousands of miles away from you. It's not beneficial to you. It is more beneficial for you to buy locally in your local state. Now, if you live on a border, you know, I can't argue with you. If you live on a border in the South, that's where the next state is 30 minutes away. I have nothing to say about that. Same thing about like the Oregon-Washington border. If you're in Portland and Vancouver, Washington is like 2 hours away, I can't say anything. But when you live in Las Vegas, Nevada, and you're traveling to Indiana to buy a coach because it costs less money freight-wise, Indiana does not have a lemon law. It is a no buyback state. You're stuck with that product. Well, at least you have a shot. If you buy it in Nevada, you have a shot of being protected under your own government's consumer laws. You have a better case to fight in court if something goes wrong. If a Liz Amazing type of situation comes out where it is a lemon law, because that's mainly what she deals with, is the major Armageddon level stuff, the very small percentage. If these people bought in consumer-friendly states, they'd be fine. But I did some homework. And it's not just Liz. I'm not picking on Liz, as you guys know. I mean, I know she'll be back pretty soon. But look at this as a fact. I went through 8 people that had major problems across the board that were so bad, it's ridiculous. Most of them bought in Indiana. Or most of them bought in a state that has no consumer protection laws for RVs. Ohio, Indiana, places close to the factory, Texas, where it's the Wild West. So, moral of the story is, if you live in California, if you live in Nevada, if you live in Arizona, buy in those states, let your dealership make a little bit of money, and enjoy the protection of your local state's laws. Price is not everything. And I will tell you, the more a dealership sells without hearing about Indiana, or hearing about this price, or hearing about this price in South Dakota, and hearing about this price in Montana, and hearing this price in this state, and this price in that state, the less game playing there is. Because when you buy because of price in a state with zero protections, you're rolling the dice. Buy locally. Less game playing. Last thing I want to talk about, because we got the Tampa Bay show coming up, and then I'm going to be at the Northern California show in Pleasanton for their 10-day show. Don't know what days yet. I know January 24th, I'll be there for the first day. I'm not sure what other days I'm going to be there. So if you're going to be in Northern California, I will be at the Pleasanton show. I won't be in Tampa Bay this year. I don't have the money to go. When you go to these shows, if you don't buy at the show, that is not a bad thing. Okay. Let's say you live in Georgia, because you know a lot of people from a lot of the southern states are going to go to that Tampa Bay show. It's the largest show on the East Coast in the winter. Don't feel like you have to buy at that show. Shows are excellent places for you to see everything. Well, you can't see everything, but you can see a lot of stuff there. If you live in Florida, you should buy at that show. But if you live in Georgia, if you live in Tennessee, if you live in Alabama, etc., you don't necessarily have to buy at that show. You could take what you like and go get it at your local dealership that sells that particular brand, that you can make it an order if they don't have it in stock. If they're a corporate dealership like a General RV or like a Camping World or etc., you can have the product pulled to that store and actually physically buy it at your local store. I think the sales at the Tampa Bay show will actually be up compared to last year. Last year was a shit show. I think this year it will be a lot better. I think this year I think you'll see a 4 to 5% increase in the amount of sales. I think you're going to see a decrease in the amount of traffic going there, but I think you're going to see an increase in sales. Now, I know that sounds like complete opposites, but I believe that a lot of people, I believe the gate attendance on the East Coast is going to slow down. I think they'll make a big deal out of how many people show up, and they'll try to like hide the fact that it's down 10% or down 12%. You know how these propaganda media companies work, and I'll of course expose it once it happens. But I believe the amount of sales will be up 4 or 5% this year, which doesn't sound like a lot, guys, but in the long run and in retrospective, a 4 or 5% increase in sales at that show is a big number. Greenville is a different animal. Everybody waits for Tampa Bay. That's the hard part. You get people from Texas, you get people from New York, you get people from Massachusetts, you get people from the Northeast that go down to Florida for that show because of how large it is. It's a lot like what the Pomona show was in California for a lot of years. You had people from Nevada, Arizona, Colorado, Idaho, Washington, Oregon, all fly in just to go to that show because you had all the manufacturers there and you had all the manufacturer reps there, and it's just a different animal. So Tampa Bay, and Mike, send me some video and stuff, man. Send me some pictures and things. You get my email from my other channel and send me some stuff. I want to see some stuff down there. But anybody else that's going, do the same thing. LivingstonRVServices@gmail.com. Or just DM me the thing through Facebook or Instagram. But yeah, 4 or 5% is a big number. I mean, I believe probably the number one dealer that will do the best out there is probably General RV. I think General RV will kick everybody's ass. I think General RV has the right mindset for that show this year, and I think they'll probably have the biggest increase in sales compared to like Camping World, what's left of Lazy Days, RV Retailers, which is Blue Compass, etc. I think General RV will be the best. Brinkley, I really want to see, Brinkley fifth wheels and stuff. What I really want to see is what they're the new toy hauler they're unveiling there, because they're not going to bring it here to Northern California. They're bringing only 4 pieces because they know I'm coming. No, I'm just messing. They don't care. I think they stopped caring. I think they realized that I'm not evil. I think they just stopped caring. They're like, you know what? He's not after us to bury us. He's just doing his thing. So I think a lot of the manufacturers have kind of woken up and gone, oh, well, he's really not that bad. No, I'm not that bad. I just tell how it is. But yeah, very interesting. Oh, I also want to see the Alliance destination trailer. I really want to see the Alliance destination trailer because I'm not going to get to see it up here. I don't blame you. They're a pain in the ass. But see, that's the interesting part. They raised their prices, right? I'm going to talk about that next week because I'm gathering information about that. But just kind of a hit, just kind of a sneak peek at what I'm going to talk about when it comes to Brinkley. So remember, these guys at Brinkley are notorious for building a company and selling it off within 4 to 5 years. They start the selling process at year 3. They build their stats, build their reputation, build up their backlog, build up their stuff, and they sell it for a shit ton of money. I have no problem with it. I actually admire it. But because of the way things have gone over the last 2 years, which is out of their control, they're not going to be able to sell it for the money they should get for it, right? You got to make money. You built the company, you built the market share, you built the reputation, you built the marketing, you sell it off, make a ton of money. You don't sell it off to break even, and you don't sell it off to lose money, and you don't sell it off to make a 3% margin. If you're going to sell Brinkley, I should say when they sell Brinkley, they should get maximum value for it, for their effort, for their work, etc. That's not going to happen for a while. So their price increase makes sense because I think they've kind of come to the conclusion that they're not going to be able to sell it for the money they should get out of it. And I think they have the understanding that it's going to be a couple of years before they can sell it. That being said, they got to keep the company going and growing. So now it's no longer about stats. It's no longer about market share. It's now about, okay, we got to pay our bills. I don't know what kind of setup they have, There are some companies that use private equity firms. There are some that take out interest-only loans that, you know, after a certain period of time, they got to pay back a portion of the principal, like a balloon payment. You know, I don't know what kind of setup they have. They're not publicly traded companies, so it's not like I can go in and take a look at it, right? So let's just say, for example, that there are balloon payments coming. Let's say they took a loan out for a stake in the company. So maybe they took an interest-only loan through a private equity firm. The private equity firm, to do the interest-only loan, it needed a balloon payment after 4 years or 5 years or 6 years or whatever it is. And, you know, for that, they get a little stake in the company, right? So, you know, normally this group of guys, they did with Grand Design, they were part of it with Keystone, they've done it with several boat companies. They're like, okay, if it's a 4-year deal, 5-year deal, then we can just, you know, once we sell the company, we can just pay off the loans and divide up the money and we're good to go, right? Well, if you don't have the ability to sell it, now you got to pay down the principal loan, right? Instead of just the interest. So that balloon payment's coming. If this is how they did it. I'm not saying this is how they did it. If this is how they did it. So their price increase makes sense. It coincides with now, instead of trying to rush out and get as many Brinkleys on the road as possible and get the name out there as much as possible, now it's about profit margin to pay the bills until they can sell it, until they can get the money that they deserve for it. All right, cool. Because here's the thing. These guys all put their money into this, right? They all, you know, look, I talk crap when I have to talk crap. Let's talk positive about this. These guys, this group of owners with Brinkley, put their ass on the line to build this company. When they sell it, they deserve to make money on it. They put their own reputations, their own butts on the line. A lot could have gone wrong. It's not like, oh, it's going to be perfection all the way around. Obviously, they're having major problems right now in a lot of segments with some of the models. They'll take care of it. Those guys are not going to allow, they're not going to be a big corporation like Winnebago and let things just kind of silence themselves and walk away from it. They'll take care of the problems. But that being said, they have to, they can't just go into this thing and go, hey, we're in this to break even. We put our ass on the line, taking time away from our families to build this company to not make any money. I mean, so like when I talk about these guys as far as the selling of it and the selling of Grand Design and the selling of this and the selling of that, it isn't because I'm salty or mad or angry. No, it's because people need to understand that when these guys start companies, they turn and burn companies. They don't stick around for 30 years at one manufacturing thing. They don't have a history of that. And that's okay. Oh, okay. There's nothing wrong with it. Okay. I think, now, the reality is, I would hope that they would sell to a company that's not named Winnebago, because there's history there that's unfortunately not kosher. Okay. But when they do it, I hope they make a bunch of money. I really do. Because they deserve it. They put their own ass on the line. They deserve it. Okay. Last little thing about the Tampa Bay show, and I'm going to go more detail about that because that's going to be something that's going to happen across the board. This isn't something that's just going to happen with Brinkley, by the way. This is something that's going to happen across the board slowly but surely. Brinkley's just the first to the honeypot. It's going to be a trickle effect. I kept warning you guys prices were going to go up. Nobody wanted to believe me. Told you so. Anyway, So I'll get more into that, give you some updates when I have some on the Tampa Bay show, and then I'll see you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow's episode is going to be a lot of fun. We're gonna have a lot of fun with my special guest tomorrow morning. See you tomorrow.